Welcome to the Songwriter Connection podcast, where we look at the craft of songwriting through the eyes of the songwriter. Each week, we make a connection with a music maker, listen to their songs, and hear their stories. From Nashville, Tennessee, here's your host, Dave Lenihan.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today. I've got an amazing guest for you, one we see all over town, traveling all over the country. And she says that singing will always be a part of her, whether she's singing at church, on the street, on a flatbed trailer, or somewhere in Nashville. Says Dallas Remington, I love every minute. And you can tell it's in her blood. She has a passion for what she does. And wait till you hear this lady sing. Oh, but first, let me tell you about Discover Sooner and my friend Nancy Decken, who we've talked about in the past. Discover Sooner is an amazing organization. Check it out at discoversooner.com. A whole community of songwriters, publishers, people that can help advance your career. And as we say, get you discovered sooner. So after the podcast today, check out Discover Sooner and listen for more on Nancy Decken, who's a great songwriter herself. In fact, we're going to talk about her. Her ears are probably burning right now. On this podcast, we'll have to talk a little bit more about her because she's a great songwriter and she's written a lot of songs with our guests, including this big hit I'm going to play for you here in just a little bit. And so check her out on season 2, episode 2, the whole Nancy Decken story there. But this is episode 19 with Dallas Remington. Hi, Dallas. Good to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
It is my pleasure to have you, and I thank you for coming on the show. In fact, I want to start with this song right here. This is called Princess. Into the top 40 on Billboard now. It's fantastic. Princess on the Songwriter Connection podcast.
You don't think you gotta cook. You don't think you gotta clean. You wanna paint your nails, sit around reading magazines. A selfie machine, self-claimed royalty. Well, there's a difference between perception and reality. You ain't a princess, she's just a dirt road every time. There ain't no prince here, just a bunch of bars and some pickup trucks. Yeah, the closest to the crown you'll ever get or ever got is at the bar taking double shots. You ain't a princess, she's just a small town hang around, never leaving hot mess. Ain't got a castle on a hill, girl, let me be real. You got a double wide trailer with some late utility bills. Your daddy ain't no king of anything. It don't count that your mama was the 88 soybean queen. You ain't a princess, she's just a dirt road every time. There ain't no prince here, just a bunch of bars and some pickup trucks. Yeah, the closest to the crown you'll ever get or ever got is at the bar taking double shots. You ain't a princess, she's just a small town hang around, never leaving hot mess. Girl, I've been knowing you too long for you to sell me on that junked up knockoff charade you got going on.
right, it's Dallas Remington. Great song called Princess. And she is with us today on the Songwriter Connection podcast. Hi, Dallas. Welcome.
Hey, thank you so much, like I said, for having me. I'm excited to be here. And it's always fun to get to talk about songs written and taking so much of my life. I mean, my whole life is music, but it's always fun to get to sit down and talk with it about people. Talk about it with people. If I can talk today.
Well, it's good to have you here. And around the dining room table, which I know you're going to play some live music. And people really need to hear you sing live and play live because you're a good guitar player. You're a great singer.
Oh, thank you so much.
I've seen you in many rounds around town and just wowed every single time.
Oh, well, thank you.
Great job. Let's talk about Princess. This just recently hit into the Billboard Top 40.
Yes.
Which is quite an accomplishment. And you got to feel good about that.
Yeah, it was absolutely amazing. So we had a single previously that went number 43 on Billboard. Mm-hmm. And then I got a call that day, the day the next chart was coming out. And I thought that was going to be our first top 40. Mm-hmm. And some things have happened and we had fallen. So I had that feeling in my gut the day that I thought Princess was going to go top 40. I'm like, what if it fell again? Like, what if we didn't? And so I was actually working. I work for a company where we stage houses. And I was in between properties and I was stuck at a red light and I saw the email come through that said chart update. And I was just like, oh gosh, let's see. And I looked at it and I was like, does it say what I think it says? It says we're 40. And I just stopped. I pulled over side of the road, started bawling, called my mama, called my dad, called everybody. And I was like, we did it, guys. We did it. So it was one of the best feelings ever. And that was honestly, like, that day was one of the coolest days of my life. Because within 12 hours, I found out that my song went top 40 on Billboard and I met Garth Brooks.
You met Garth Brooks?
It was the greatest day of my life. Nothing will ever top that day.
Yeah,
maybe the day we get a number one, but it was just like, I was already still crying because I had just met Garth. And then I got the email telling me we were top 40. I was just like...
Now, where did you meet Garth? Tell us about that.
So I got to go to the Songwriters Hall of Fame induction, the Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame induction, and Garth was sitting a few tables away, and I was just like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to introduce myself. I got to talk to him for a little while. Everyone always says he's the nicest person on the planet.
They always do. Yep.
And he literally is the nicest person on the planet. Got to talk to him for a while, got a picture, introduced myself, nice. And it was just like, oh my gosh. So I was still like on a high from that. And then I got the email about us being top 40 and I was like, this is nothing will ever top this day. This is the best day of my life.
That is one of those diamond days.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Very good, Dallas. How exciting. Now you have a video on that too.
Yes, we do.
There, and that's on YouTube. You can go check it out.
Yes, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. We have it on all the things. There's no way for you not to see it.
Even on CMT now.
Yes,
right?
Yes. It was on CMT.com. I believe it's still on there. I'm not sure how long they keep things on there, but CMT, they featured it. And it was really cool to do that. We've been working with them for a few years, waiting to try to find the right time for one of my videos to be on there.
Yeah.
So the fact that they picked it up was just absolutely amazing. It was so cool to be able to be like, hey, that's me with all the big artists too.
Yeah.
The video is at like over 1 million views online now. I think we're getting closer to 2 million.
That's great.
So we're really excited about that. And I always love getting to do music videos because we're at the stage like where I always just get my friends to come be in them. Mm-hmm. So like if you watch the video, like Nancy's in the video. She's there. Nancy Deckant, which was one of my co-writers on the song, and her and her husband are both there.
Love George.
All of my friends are in the audience.
Video.
Yeah, they're all just having a big old time.
Yeah.
And one of my best friends got to play the main character.
Oh, cool.
One of my favorite people on the planet, who's also an artist too. That's the thing about being in Nashville. You never know. Like everyone does music, so we just get all of our artist friends to be in the videos because, like, well, I'll be in yours when you need one, you know?
I love that Nashville community like that. Everybody
exactly.
pitches in and helps each other and roots each other on. That's what I love about this town.
Exactly.
So that's really cool. So you can see that video, YouTube, find it out there, Dallas Remington. It's called Princess. Now tell us a little bit about the process of writing that song, because this is a songwriter connection. We're really interested in, I know you write a lot of songs.
Yeah.
But you got together with Nancy Deckant and another writer. So this was a three-way co-write.
There's 3 of us on this song. Our third co-writer was actually Bridget Tatum. So if you don't know who Bridget Tatum is, look her up because you know a bunch of her songs. She wrote She's Country by Jason Aldean.
Wow.
And just so many more amazing songs. She's one of my favorite songwriters to just go watch play because girl should have been the artist herself. And she is an artist, but I want to listen to her on the radio because she's so amazing.
Wow.
So Bridget Tatum wrote the song with us. And so Nancy actually, Discover Sooner, they used to set up some writing retreats. I don't know. There may be some of those in the future. I don't know if there's any more, but
I bet
this was one of those writing retreat experiences where Bridget was one of the hit writers they brought in. And so we got to go write with her. And this was, I always call it a magical song. It took like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours to write.
Those are few and far between.
Exactly. You never, like, I'm one of those people that I am never satisfied with the song after the first write.
Yeah.
Yes, we can maybe finish it in the first write, but I always set up a second session just to go over it.
That's a good
And
idea.
This one, when I walked out, I was like, this is it. I think we changed one line right before we recorded it just to make it more like current. We had said something about a meme. And people didn't understand that.
What a meme was. Yeah.
People were like, what's a meme? I'm like, how do you not know what a meme is in this day and age? But so we took that line out, and I like what we ended up with. But so the song was just done from the time we wrote it, though. I mean, I literally the next day went home, or that day I went home and learned it. I played it in around the next day, and then 2 days after my band learned it, and we started closing every show with it.
Wow.
So this was just like, the song's it for me. I absolutely love this one, but I mean, I always tell people it takes songs a long time for them to find their place. And so we actually wrote this song back in May of 2018.
18. Okay.
18.
Wow.
Maybe, yeah.
So well before
18
COVID.
or 19. Yeah. It was a while ago. And we had actually already recorded it once. And I was just, we had it. And I just didn't have this, like, I'm so excited for everyone to hear it right now feeling. I just kept having this, like, knot in my stomach. Not like a bad one, but I was just like, it's not time. It's not time.
Gotcha.
And so then we hadn't released it. We ended up releasing a song called Hunting Season, which was just going to be a digital single. And then it ended up doing really well on radio as well. It ended up being like top 25 on Music Row and all this stuff. It had a life of its own that we didn't know it was going to have. And then we came off of hunting season into the pandemic. And we couldn't, so I guess we wrote it, and I don't know when we wrote the song, sometime. But we came off of it straight into the pandemic, and I was just like, it's not the time for Princess right then.
Let's wait, yeah.
It just wasn't. I was like, because we were going to release Princess May 2020. That was the plan from the get-go. And I was just like, I just don't know if we need this song right now. What does the world need?
Yeah.
And so I had written a song with one of my best friends a few years back about our dads who were both farmers. And it's a song called Uncommon Man. And it was talking about just the life of an uncommon person. But it is, for us, it was our everyday life.
I got you.
So it was about farming life. So we ended up releasing that one to dedicate to the essential employees.
Now, I don't want to put you on the spot, but is that one you do? Is that one you can play for us?
Yeah, I can play that one.
Yeah.
But all that to say, like, it just wasn't the time for Princess yet.
Yeah.
It just wasn't. And so we were driving around. My mom and I were last summer at some point just going around, and she goes, I want to listen to Princess. I want to listen to the track. And I was just like, okay, yeah, we'll listen to it. And we both at the same time said, we've got to recut the song. Just my voice had changed, matured. The track, we didn't have fiddle on it to begin with, and fiddle's like one of the main things in this track now.
Yeah.
So I always say, if it's not feeling like perfect, that means it probably isn't. Or it might become perfect. You just got to wait for the right time. So Princess definitely had to wait for its right time, and it definitely did. I mean, top 40 Billboard, millions views on the video. Like, it was the right time for it. And I feel like if we had released it when we originally planned on it, it wouldn't have had.
Yeah.
It would not have happened.
Everything in its time. It's interesting how you say, if it's not perfect, if it doesn't feel right, it's not
there's
right.
a reason. You get those gut feelings for a reason. And we both had that gut feeling that the track needed to be revisited. And like, the original track we had was great. It was, everyone else would have re-released it. Like, they would have gone with it. But then when I ran into my producer, I was like, I feel like we can just go up a notch. He went up like 20 notches. Like, he killed it on it. Mr. Eric Torres produced and recorded that song. And
where do you record at?
I have multiple people I work with, but that one, Uncommon Man, Princess, Hunting Season, they were all done with Eric Torres in the Couch Room Studios. And Eric is one of my favorite people in this industry. He's so easy to work with, and, you know, he's one of those, he can almost, like, feels like he can read my mind.
Wow.
So, like,
when
you go forward, like, go back to, like, Hunting Season, I wasn't even sure we were going to cut that one. And he was like, at that point, and he was like, I think we should. Just let me mess with it for a little bit. So we get a scratch track, and he sent me back, like, the track for it. I cried, and I don't cry. I was like, I never even told you what I wanted on this, but this is literally what I wanted.
That's great.
So he's amazing to work with, and he's just been a really big part of my career, and we love working with him. He's super busy now.
I bet.
So he's got a lot of big things going on, but I'm very proud that he's been part of my career, and he got to do these songs.
Well, so do you. And so I'm glad you're taking the time to come and join us. So
yes,
how about another song? You're around the dining room table. We like to do live music around here, so we get a pretty good sound. And you've got your Gibson out, and we're going to tune it up a little bit and hear what you got.
Yeah, I'll do, since I've talked about Uncommon Man a lot.
Let's do it.
We'll do that one. Cool. So, like I said, this is one I wrote with Courtney Bumbacher. And we don't even know when we wrote the song. We wish we'd written down the date. We have no idea. I do know that I actually wrote the lyrics on paper. I didn't even write them in, like, a doc.
Wow.
It wasn't that long ago. It was just one of those weird days, so I have no timestamp. Except for, you know, when I got the copyright. It is copywritten, people.
Great.
But we were just sitting around. She had this idea for a while, and she kept pitching it out to people, and they just weren't understanding it. And she was like, I have this idea. I think you're going to get it. I think you're going to understand it. And she's like, I want to write a song about my dad. And I knew in advance that her daddy was a dairy farmer from upstate New York. I knew all that already. We were good friends when we went into this write. And she's like, and I just want to call it Uncommon Man.
Great.
She's like, I don't know what we do with it, but that's what I want to call it. And I was like, I know exactly what we're doing with it. So we wrote this song, and radio-wise, Princess has been my biggest song, but this to me is the biggest song of my career.
Awesome.
I love this one so much, and it's called Uncommon Man. So far, biggest song so far.
So far.
There's no such thing as 40 hours, no working 9 to 5. Blood, sweat, and tears, praying to God help me survive. Through droughts and floods and never-ending days and disaster years, he tries to keep his faith. He has holes in his jeans, he didn't buy them that way. And when he shakes your hand, you have his word, and he'll take it to the grave. For he falls asleep at night, he reads the Bible by his bed, and he thanks the Lord for an everyday life of an uncommon man. He does his best to support his kids and his wife. Sometimes he might miss dinner, but he still tucks them in at night. Church and chores are still family affairs, yet to him no other life can compare. He has holes in his jeans, he didn't buy them that way. And when he shakes your hand, you have his word, and he'll take it to the grave. For he falls asleep at night, he reads the Bible by his bed, and he thanks the Lord for an everyday life of an uncommon man. It might sound like a poor man's life, but he's richer than any millionaire. He has holes in his jeans, he didn't buy them that way. When he shakes your hand, you have his word, and he'll take it to the grave. For he falls asleep at night, he reads the Bible by his bed, and he thanks the Lord for an everyday life of an uncommon man. An uncommon man.
Dallas Remington, our guest on the Songwriter Connection podcast. Uncommon man. Sounds like he's got some pretty stylish jeans there. That's the style these days.
He does. He definitely does. My dad's are ripped up, and he did not buy them that way. That's for sure.
That way. Great imagery in that. So it's just a great song. Great tribute.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. And that's what, when I say it's, to me, that's one of my biggest songs, the biggest song of my career so far. It's because, when we wrote Princess, I'm like, I know this is a hit. I know. And I knew Uncommon Man would be a hit for my family.
Yeah.
And that was one that, I played it for them. I never really played it in shows. Not many people had heard this song before we released it. And
I imagine that got a tear or two out of your daddy's eyes.
It definitely did. And that was that was why it was just mine and his song. It was just our family song. And then when the pandemic hit, I was just like, we wanted to go back to the drawing board, pick a new single. And we had a team meeting. We all got on Zoom because we couldn't be in person. We all got on a Zoom, and I was just like, we need to pick a new single. I feel like we need to wait a little bit on Princess. Let's just wait. And they're like, yeah, we believe so too. Well, I went in my true fashion, and I sent them 4 more sassy songs. I was like, well, let's just go with these. What's one of these that'll be a good single until we can release Princess? And they were just like, I mean, these are all great, but they're still sassy. They're still they're a little bit of yelling at people, And I was like, well, what about this? I sent them this out of tune, off key, just really bad recording of Uncommon Man. And I was like, I have this one, which in my gut, I had known that was the single. And I knew that was what I wanted to release, but I was like, it's a slow song. You're not supposed to release slow songs to radio. That's just a thing you're not supposed to do.
Yep. And
I was like, I don't know. And I sent it to them, and they were all like, okay, give us a few days. We'll listen to them, whatever. And we got back on Zoom, and every one of them said, what do you think the single is? And I said, I'm not saying anything. I want y'all to say what you are. So we just went around the circle on Zoom, and every one of them said the single is Uncommon Man.
Wow.
It has to be Uncommon Man.
Yeah.
And we dedicated it to all the essential employees. And then we got to do a lyric video for this one.
Nice.
And include pictures from all my fans, Uncommon Men and Women.
Huh.
So they all sent in pictures. We had 200 pictures that got sent in for this video. And
wow.
It was just, for a song that was so special to me, to see it blow up like it did. I mean, this song has over 700,000 streams.
Wow.
Organically on Spotify and stuff like that now.
That's
so
great.
It's just one of my, it was just something I wrote for me, Courtney and I wrote for our dads. And that was as far as we thought it was going to go.
I've often found that if it meant something to you, it's going to mean something to your audience.
Exactly. And this is the song that taught me that. This is why it's one of the biggest songs for me, just because it taught me so much about, not being afraid to just say what you think. I mean, or not be afraid to just put out what means the most to you.
Yeah.
And so this really helped me in that. And it's just, I'll never be able to thank anyone enough for the amount of love that song got. Especially in a time where everyone was scared. Nobody didn't know nobody was releasing music. And then here I was like, hey, we're going to release a single and we're going to go to radio with it and we'll see what happens. And then, it just absolutely blew our minds, the love that we got for it. And so I'll forever be thankful for this song.
Now, Dallas, you started at a very young age. You grew up in Paducah, Kentucky, was it?
Yes, very close to Paducah. And I started playing guitar right before I turned 10. And I played my first gig in Nashville when I was 11.
11.
So
started playing at 10 and then you're playing in Nashville at 11.
Yes. I think the first show I did, I played along with some tracks that my guitar teacher had recorded. I didn't do that anymore because I couldn't keep up in time to get my capo moved with the track lady pressing the buttons. So then I just started playing for myself. I was like, oh, I'm 11. I can do it.
Do that.
So it'll be 11 years this coming May that I've been performing in Nashville.
And you're a very good guitar player. It's more than 3 chords in the truth for you. You're all over that fretboard.
That's my whole thing. But right now I've got these Edward Scissorhand nails on, as I call them. So if you hear some flubs today, that's because I decided to get my nails done for Christmas and forgot that I have to play in the process. And I have had them on here forever now. They're not gone away yet. They're just stuck.
Well, if you do any flub, which you probably, but if you did, we'll just assume you wrote it that way. Okay.
That
sound good.
Ghost notes all over the place.
All over the place. And now you're so busy, and that's a God thing. You're playing all over. You're touring around. Talk a little bit about that process. Do you like the road?
I love the road.
Yeah.
That's what, I love to play. I love to travel. My two favorite things on this earth are traveling and music. So the fact that I get to do both of them together is amazing. And so, when the whole world shut down and we couldn't travel, it was like it was ending for me. I was like, I don't know what to do. So luckily, my job that I have in Nashville, besides music, I flip houses with my mom, and we run a construction company. That didn't end. Construction did not pause. So that's what kept me busy and kept me my mind off of not being on the road. I absolutely love being on the road. We're the type of people though that we don't just schedule like, hey, we're here. We schedule it to where we can spend a day here and actually get to enjoy it. Because I know at some point in my life, if things keep going the way they are, hopefully, we're not going to be able to do that. We're going to be all over the place. But, we've been able to see so much of the country the past few years that I never would have dreamed of being able to see. I have now fallen in love with the state of Montana. Like, I've already said I'm going to move there as soon as I have enough money to, like, move out there and stuff like that. But there's so many things that I haven't got to experience that I've now gotten to experience because of music, because of the traveling I got to do along with music. So I love being on the road, and we're so excited. We're booking actively for 2022.
Good.
Cannot wait to see where all we end up. I think we're gonna finally get out to the West Coast and do some shows. We've never been out there before, so we'll see what happens.
That's pretty great. How about another song as we progress through the Dallas Remington story on our Songwriter Connection today?
Let's see, what shall we play next? So, haven't really talked about it, but as well as touring for 2022, we are moving into a phase of my life where I'm releasing more music than I ever have.
Great.
As a songwriter, we write songs all the time, and we write them and we just sit on them. And I know that helped when it came to like Uncommon Man and Princess, just sitting on the songs. But sometimes when it's the time for the song, it's the time for the song. And you shouldn't have to wait on nobody to tell you if you can release it or not.
Right.
So as long as I have my songwriter's permissions, I'm releasing them. So we're releasing a song every month.
Oh, that's great.
We're just going through them. Now, some of them are going to be covers. We released a cover in December of Metallica's Enter Sandman.
No kidding.
I'm really excited about that. That was a lot of fun.
And there was that new country version of some country artists on their new Black Anniversary.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that kind of coincided with that.
Yeah,
so.
I wish I could have been on that.
Yeah, me too. You did your own thing.
I did my own one. I had to release that. And so we're doing some covers. We're doing a lot of originals. We're doing acoustic recordings. But this song is actually coming out in a couple weeks. Let me look at the date before I forget about it.
We publish this episode on January the 5th.
Okay, so this one is coming out January 14th.
Okay, so
just real soon.
11 days.
I'm really excited about this one. I wrote this with Casey Tyndall and Mark Narmore, which are two of my favorite songwriters, and then they've become really good friends and co-writers as well.
That's great.
This one's called One Night Rodeo. That Stetson might have bought you a night in Abilene, but you sure knew how to sell that smile. And down in New Orleans, any girl'd go crazy if they saw you in Cheyenne with just one "Hey darling," they'd be in the palm of your hand. Hey, you might spread that charm from town to town, but once you get a taste, you're gonna wanna settle down. 'Cause I ain't no one-stop truck and trailer leaving with the sun. Think you will, but you won't get over me fast as them horses run. Ain't no first place behind closed gates. Roll me in and let me go. Hey, you might be cowboy, but I ain't no one-night rodeo. Well, that pasture's gonna look better The more time you spend with me, you'll be thinking about a front porch, fence post, and a diamond ring. Let me warn you now before it's too late. Yeah, you're gonna have a hard time riding away, 'cause I ain't no one-stop truck and train and leaving with the sun. You think you will, but you won't get over me fast as them horses run. Ain't no first place behind closed gates. Roll me in and let me go. Hey, you might be a cowboy, but I ain't no, oh, not a rodeo. Cause I ain't no one-stop truck and train and leaving with the sun. You're gonna fall head on over heels fast as them horses run. Ain't no first place behind closed gates. Roll me in and let me go. Hey, you might be a cowboy, but I ain't no, oh, not a rodeo. Behind closed gates, no one-eye rodeo. Oh, that Stetson might have bought you a night in Neverland.
Dallas Remington on the Songwriter Connection podcast. She's an amazing talent.
Thank you.
Yeah. You know, you write songs that seem so beyond your age. You know, you started when you were 11 and you were what today?
21.
21.
Yeah.
You're writing some amazing songs.
Thank you.
To go along with that great voice and
thank you so much.
The great things you do on the guitar as well. So
thank you so
very
much.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well,
What's up?
Go ahead. No,
I spent like a few years where I just wrote full time.
Yeah.
We toured some. But, you know, from the time I was 17 to, or I guess about 16 to 19, I just wrote every day, all day, every day.
Learning the craft, sharpening the craft.
Writing with older people, too. So that was, you know, getting the experience of people who've been in the business a long time.
Yeah.
And I've always been told I'm an old soul. And I look at things differently like an older person would. So I always just write how I would say it, you know, and that's my main thing is always, would I say it this way? And if I wouldn't, we're going to change it to the way I would say it.
To make it conversational.
Exactly.
And in today's lingo. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm very thankful for all the people I've been able to write with. But that really taught me how I want to say things, what I want to say. And then, you know, now I don't have to write every day. No. I can write, you know, a few times a week, and I'm still getting amazing songs out of it because of the experience and the time I put into it for those 3 years learning how to actually write songs.
That's great. So yeah, you were sharpening your chops there and learning the craft, which is so important. Songwriting, people realize it is a craft. It's a thing that you can strengthen.
Exactly.
And you had a lot of great mentors growing up, huh? Mm-hmm. People that
yes, definitely. And like Nancy Deckett from Discover Sooner, she's one of my biggest ones. Funny story. So Nancy and I actually, my first ever scheduled round in Nashville where I wasn't playing open mic was at the Commodore Grill. Yeah. And I was put on stage with Nancy Deckett.
With Nancy?
And Bill Warrington. So Nancy was literally there for my first ever round. Wow. That was scheduled. And she was a big part of it. I was 13. And I just started writing songs. And so she was there. And she was very patient with me. Because when I first started writing, I only wrote by myself. And being so young, I did not think that I could write with other people. Because I didn't think they would think I had anything to say. And being 13, I was like, I don't, compared to people who've been in this industry and who've lived longer lives and who've done all this stuff. And so she was there and she kept, like, she would periodically run into me. She's like, let's co-write. And then I had started co-writing with one of my best friends. And then I got an invite from one of the biggest inspirations I'll ever have and will ever have to write with, Miss Cindy Torres. who wrote In Lonesome Dove by Garth Brooks, and is just a prolific, just beautiful storytelling songwriter. And I'd seen her play so many times, and I ended up, somebody canceled on a round, and they ended up throwing me up there with her.
Wow.
And we got off stage, and she was like, I really want to write with you. And that was when I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm doing something. So I started writing with Cindy, and then she was like, well, I'm writing with this girl named Nancy Deckant. Do you know her? Like, maybe we should all three write together.
Okay.
And then Nancy was like, I've been trying for years, Dallas. So we finally got to write together. And so the three of us, we just write all the time.
That's great.
They're like my sisters in songwriting, and they have been two of the biggest inspirations I'll ever have, just because they've been with me from such a young age, and they taught me that I did have things to say and that my opinion does matter. Which now I guess I'm technically an adult, so whatever. But they've been with me since I was 14, 15, and taught me that even though I was the youngest one in the room, my opinion and my thoughts and the way I wanted to say things did count, and I will never be able to thank them.
Of course it does.
For that.
Ask people like Taylor Swift, who started very young too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I've never had anyone tell me I couldn't write because of my age. I've had one person that was like, why are you writing about relationships? You're 15. I'm like, well, it's country music.
Yeah.
What else do you write? I mean, you're telling me that Taylor Swift hadn't been through a relationship?
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're telling me that Reba lived through Fancy? Like, we write things we haven't experienced. Like, that's the point.
That's right.
But yeah, so Cindy and Nancy, they were there for me, and they taught me. They've been with me through literally all of it, from some of the toughest songs for me to ever write to the easiest, the just fun ones, to this, the songs that are more for me to heal than anything. And so they've been there every step of the way, so I'll always be grateful for them.
How about another one of those songs?
Yeah.
Dying to hear you
let's
again.
see. Let's do, make sure I'm in the right key. Nope.
Gibson guitar sounds so good. Oh.
Thank you. So this one's going to be coming out in the next couple months, actually. Nancy, Cindy, and I wrote this with John Allen Miller, another songwriter here in Nashville. And this one's just a fun one. This is what I call my love version of a love song, because I don't write love songs. So this one's called Happy for You.
Okay.
Well, I heard you've gone and gotten married. You found the one you say whose love is true. Well, I'm happy for you. You used to say the same thing about me, so you're saying that ain't really nothing new. Yeah, I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you, yeah, I'm just tickled pink. The best thing for you is the best thing for me. If love is hell, Lord knows I paid mine dues. I'm happy for you, yeah, it's a dream come true. I learned you're not a lot to lose. I'm off the hook and that's my point of view. Yeah, I'm happy for you. Well, God bless the girl, must be a saint. She don't mind the things that can't, and that's the truth. Yeah, I'm happy for you. You're drinking, snoring, no show mornings, can't hold a job. Well, thank God I got a clue. Yeah, I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you, yeah, I'm just tickled pink. The best thing for you is the best thing for me. If love is hell, Lord knows I paid mine dues. I'm happy for you, yeah, it's a dream come true. I learned you're not a lot to lose. I'm off the hook and that's my point of view. Yeah, I'm happy for you. They say love is blind, now I can see that you don't look that good to me. I said love is blind, now I can see I'm happy for you, but more happy for me. I'm happy for you, yeah, I'm just tickled pink. The best thing for you is the best thing for me. If love is hell, Lord knows I paid my dues. I'm happy for you, yeah, for you.
Dallas Remington on Songwriter Connection podcast. I'm happy for you, girl. So many great things are happening for you. And people can keep up with you at your website, which is dallasremington.com.
Yes. Yeah. Dallas just like the city, and Remington like the shotgun or the curling iron. Whichever one you choose.
Whichever one you choose. There you go. You know, I could talk, I'd love to hear, I want to hear at least one more song out of you.
Yeah, definitely.
You've got that kind of voice I can listen to
thank you.
All night long. Who were some of the people you grew up listening to? Who did you like?
Yeah, so I actually, I've been asked that question, you know, so many times. One time somebody asked me who my musical Mount Rushmore would be.
Hey.
And that is the answer to this question.
Good answer. Good question.
So my musical Mount Rushmore would be Loretta Lynn.
Yeah.
Conway Twitty.
Wow.
Garth Brooks.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, who's the fourth one?
Garth Brooks. Twice.
Yeah. Why am I blanking? Oh, Patsy Cline. Duh.
Oh, of course.
Patsy Cline.
Patsy Cline.
I don't know why she's like my
You're
my
too
icon.
young for that kind of stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Sometimes.
Patsy Cline's like, oh my God.
Oh, I know.
I
What a
wish I
voice.
had a time machine. I literally would just go back to see her in person once.
I can't tell you how many times that thought. I used to work at Ryman Auditorium, and I'd walk around those halls and around that auditorium and just think what it'd be like to get in a time capsule and watch Patsy or Hank.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. That's my gosh. And I got to do the Ryman Ghost Tour 2019 for Halloween.
Wow. I
were-
hosted a couple of those.
I loved it.
I would have known if you were in my tour.
Yeah, I don't think I was in your
weren't.
tour. I would have
No.
remembered that.
Those were fun. Did they take you under the stage?
Yes.
Isn't that cool? Yeah.
But so when you get to the point where they tell about the people who have seen Patsy singing with the background singers,
yeah.
I wanted to cry. I
bet.
just felt it. I felt the spirit of Patsy Cline when they were telling those stories.
Oh, my.
So hopefully one day I'll get to experience that. But that's my answer is always Loretta Lynn, Patsy Cline, Garth Brooks, Conway Twitty.
That's great
my
Mount
people.
Rushmore. That really is. Now, let me also ask you this, because you do so much more than just music, and that's another thing I really admire about you. You've got ministries, and you volunteer. You do a lot of volunteer work. So talk a little bit about what you do besides music.
Yeah, definitely.
To be involved.
Yeah, so I am.
You give back. You constantly give back.
So I always, luckily through my volunteering, I always get to include music as well. But so when I was 11, we started a ministry outreach back in Kentucky called Melody for the Elderly, which is where I would go to assisted living and long-term healthcare facilities and sing for an hour once a week.
Oh, that's great.
And hang out with the residents and just be with them. Because we saw a need. I mean, there's a lot of those residents who they don't have any family, or they just don't have anyone that's going to come visit them. And so we started this so I could be there for those people. But what that taught me is how much music can heal.
Yeah.
So two of my favorite stories, and I'll keep them short because I can go on forever. But two of my favorite stories from what I have experienced through music ministries is the first one. We had this lady that I sang Coal Miner's Daughter.
Oh, wow.
And she came up to me and she told me all about her childhood in Eastern Kentucky as a coal miner's daughter.
Wow.
And so I was like, oh, that's so sweet. Every week she came back and told me the same story. She didn't remember telling me the week before, but the song affected her so much that she could remember that. She couldn't remember anything.
Yeah.
But hearing that song took her back to her childhood.
That's
And
a great
she
story.
wanted to tell about it. And so I was like, oh my gosh. So that was one way that music shows me how much it can heal. I mean, even if it's for 5 minutes, just for someone to remember a part of their life,
Oh, yeah.
it can heal so much. And then my second favorite story from when I did from Melody for the Elderly is one of my best friends that I've ever made in my life. His name was Joe, and he was at one of our long-term healthcare facilities. He was bound to a wheelchair. They would get him up like every once in a while to walk like 10 feet just so he could still walk, but he was supposed to be in his wheelchair full time. Well, one day he was doing his physical therapy and they walked him up to me and he said, sing me a love song. And he went and they sat him down in the audience and he was sitting there hanging out. And then I started singing him his love song. He looked at my mama and he said, come here. So mama went and stood beside him. Joe got out of his wheelchair and started dancing.
Wow.
unassisted, didn't need anyone. He got up and started dancing. And that, I mean, yes, it was for 2 minutes, but music fueled him to do that. And the
healing power of music.
It's so healing. And so I have benefited so much from my music industries and through the outreach programs I've been able to be part of because of music, just to see how it can help people. So that's why it's always going to be a huge thing for me and a huge part of my life to reach out to people and to help through these ministries and through these volunteer, because I know firsthand what music can do for people. And so any chance I can get, if I can go to hospitals or assisted living or, just anyone that needs somebody to come play some music, I try to be there as hard as, I try so hard to be there because I know how music has helped me heal, just in a lot of different personal things. And so I feel like we need to be there for those who were there for us. And we need to be there for those who don't have anyone to be there for them.
You're an inspiration. You have a gift, and you share that willingly with other folks, and you are to be commended.
Oh, thank you.
Well, in wrapping this show up today, is there a song that you think that wraps it up the best that you could play for us?
Well, it's a songwriting podcast.
It is.
I'll do. Yeah. I feel like I've done a bunch of slow songs today, but I'm just doing what's on my heart, guys.
Do what's on your heart.
But I've had 2 sun drops and a sweet tea, so I'm like on the moon right now, but I'm playing all slow songs. It's also been the Dallas Remington Nancy Deckant podcast because
she should be here.
Nancy Deckant wrote this song too.
She couldn't be here because she's writing another song.
I know. I tried to get her to come with me. But I want to do this one for y'all. I don't get to play this one very often. This is the one that I'm saving to release this one. We're releasing all this music, but I am saving this one until I already have my Opry debut on the schedule. So I can play this song there, and I want it to take over the world. But that's my goal. I have very big dreams.
That day is very far away.
I hope not.
And you talk about those diamond days. Oh my.
Oh yeah, that'll be up there, because that's literally, people ask me all the time. They're like, "What is your biggest goal in life?" And my goal is to play the Grand Ole Opry. Like after I play the Grand Ole Opry, like yes, I'm going to continue doing everything, but nothing will ever top that moment.
I gotta agree.
That and playing the Ryman.
And the Ryman.
But this is my save it for my Opry debut song, so I don't play it very often. But I wrote this one with Miss Nancy Deckant and Mr. Chris Wallen. Chris
Wallen.
Yeah, he is I have my list of songwriters I wanted to write with, hit songwriters, and he was number 1, and I got to cross him off the list. And he's become a great friend. We play shows together, and we always end up on the same festivals, so we get to hang out with each other. And
that's great. He's a great guy.
He's really an amazing guy. And written more songs than I don't know.
He's got some big hits. Google him if you don't know.
Exactly.
He's also said that he would come on this show. We just haven't got a date yet, but we're working on it.
He'll be a good one.
Yeah.
But we were all sitting around writing, and Chris was going through his song ideas. And we got way down on the list. Like, he started naming off songs that have already been hits. He's like, here's a song called People Loving People. You want to write that? I'm like, yeah, Garth did that. We're fine. I'm like, I can't compete with that. So I was already nervous. But he was going through, and I don't know what the idea was that he threw out, but it was such a good idea. But it had the word crazy in it. And go back to my musical Mount Rushmore. Y'all know I love Patsy Cline.
Patsy Cline.
And she was already on my mind because we were out in West Tennessee writing, and we were pretty close to where, her plane went down.
Camden, yeah.
And we were also, which is close to where Loretta Lynn lives now and
Hurricane
stuff
Mills.
like that. And
yeah.
So we were out there, and so they were both on my mind. And Chris had this idea, and it said the word crazy in it. And I had this, out-of-body experience. Mm-hmm. And it was just like the whole world muted, and I just heard Patsy go, crazy.
Wow.
And every time he said that title over and over, or something with this, or something like that, I just heard Patsy over and over. Oh. And I was like, hey, I don't need to be rude right now, but can you hush for a second? And he was like, what? And I'm like, I'm having a thought. And he's like, okay, what's your thought? And I was like, well, we were writing songs trying to get other people to cut them. But I was like, what if we write a song for me? And what if this was just really random? But I was like, what if we write a song that's a thank you from me to Patsy Cline and Loretta Lynn because those are two of my biggest influences, and I love them so much. And like, what if we just wrote a thank you note to them, basically, in a song?
Great idea.
And he was like, yeah, let's do it. And so we all sat down, and this was another one of those magical ones. About an hour and a half, song was done. And this will forever, it was a diamond day too. Like, I will never forget writing this song. And I always say it's the best thing that came out of the year 2019. This is my favorite part.
Can't wait to hear it.
But yeah, this is what we came up with. And we threw in a couple more artists I look up to too. But my Patsy and Loretta song. I'm in the wrong key.
Are you?
All that.
What is the name of this song, by the way, when you're tuning?
I don't say the name because it gives it away.
Oh, okay, never mind. Then I won't do that. Never mind.
Why did you go so far out of tune, honey?
When you put on the cable, it happens.
There we go. There we go. They call me crazy, 'cause I can't help but think of you. Coming through our kitchen radio, 'cause my mama loved you too. And I fall to pieces, 'cause you left us all too soon. But you left this Kentucky girl a sweet dream to hold on to. You sang my life and you let me know it's okay to make your own way when others say you're wrong. You showed me the woman I wanna be, so I still sing your songs, 'cause your songs wrote me. See why I say the name?
Oh, yeah. Fantastic, girl.
Coal miner's daughter is what got me on that stage. But there ain't no woman enough to ever take your place. You sang my life and you let me know it's okay to make your own way when others say you're wrong. You showed me the woman I wanna be, so I still sing your songs, 'cause your songs wrote me. And I will always love you. And I was country when country wasn't cool. Without you, I don't know who I'd be. I don't know who I'd be, but I'll always sing your songs, 'cause your songs wrote me.
That is an amazing song.
Thank you.
I had chills up my spine.
Thank you so much.
And I could just picture you in the circle at the Opry House singing
That's
that
the goal.
song. and bringing the house down. You're going to have an Ashley McBride moment.
I hope so.
I say that because Ashley, when she did her first time on the opera, she sang that song about not bad for a girl going nowhere.
Gosh, I love that song so much.
I see the same thing happening for you.
I hope so. I have got to play it live on air on WSM.
Yeah, well,
so that was really close.
Yeah,
I was like, that's close.
Right.
But we need to be in the circle next time.
In the circle next time. We're throwing it out to the universe.
Yes, please manifest it.
It's going to happen. I just know it. Dallas Remington, our guest on the Songwriter Connection podcast. It's been a pleasure to get to know you a little bit more.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. This has been so much fun.
Thanks for singing songs live around the dining room table. And we're looking forward to seeing you next week back for another episode of our show.
Thank you for listening to the Songwriter Connection podcast. Find us on social media at Songwriter Connection. Also, listen to Dave Lanahan's Nashville Connections radio show. It streams live every Friday morning on WOBL and WNOI. Look for us on Facebook and YouTube. See you next time on Songwriter Connection.